Why does the internet feel like a cage? I'm going to explain to you. So this is a drawing that I've been building up on in previous videos, and I'll explain the basic pieces. This little guy here, I don't know if you can still see him, he is a millennial, and he's split in half between the analog world, which is here, which is like pre-2000, and so this is where you have libraries and books and outside and all your happy memories and all the stuff we think that we want back. This is here. And I was explaining how and so this is the digital world. And so the millennial, part of why we're called millennials is because we are the generation of this millennium, and we were caught right in the middle of these two worlds. Now, the internet started becoming a mainstream consumer product between the years 2000 and 2005. It was becoming a mainstream consumer product by way of big, bulky computers, usually in your schools or in your home. It was a stationary experience. It was not very private. It was a screen usually in the middle of the living room or something like that. It was nothing like it is now. And that all changed in 2007. And I would say between 2007 and 2010 is when we started to get a mass adoption of smartphones. Particularly the iPhone created a big transformation, but it wasn't mainstream when it first came out. It took time. It takes years for some of these technologies to take over. Not to say it takes a long time, but it takes some time, right? Because we like to think like, oh, the iPhone dropped and everyone had an iPhone. No, it took a few years. At first, like the first iteration of the iPhone, it was really just for like rich people. And then it wasn't until they did, and it was only on AT&T. It wasn't until they did their contract with, I believe it was Verizon and maybe some other phone carriers, that we had this mass adoption. Now, there was a little app called Facebook that was happening at that time, and a lot of us were on it on the desktop computers, and when it turned into a third-party application on the Apple Store, it got crazy adoption. And so now we had gone from having Facebook at home to having Facebook in our pockets, and eventually Instagram and Snapchat as some of these main interfaces. Now, you see this this line here that I've outlined a million times. This represents Web 1 and 2.0. Web 1.0 is, you can think of like AOL, Netscape, your first internet browsers. Again, it was very hard to comprehend the internet as a product, as an everyday consumer. It was hard to articulate. It was hard to explain. Interfaces help us understand what the internet is and navigate it. So little by little, people were like, oh, I can Google things, I can Amazon things. I was watching Sex and the City, and Charlotte is Googling what's wrong with Trey's erectile dysfunction, right? So that was Web 1.0. 2.0 is what millennials are known for and where we're still now, which is kind of upsetting. And 2.0 is third-party applications that have algorithms that you're on one right now, right? Why did I overline this a million freaking times? Because there is an illusion that the internet is limited to this interface of 2.0. When we say, oh, the internet, I hate the internet is messy, the internet is not real life, the internet, all the stereotypes about the internet, they're not really talking about the internet in its entirety. They're talking about 2.0. They're talking about this limit, this ceiling that we've given it, and this is what they hate. Now, what bugs my mind all the time, if you notice, everyone hates Instagram. You realize that, right? Like, artists hate it, people hate it, everyone hates it because they feel like it's messy, it's confusing, it doesn't actually give you the exposure it's telling you it will. And I'm going to talk about why and how we've changed our relationship with it, because it used to be a little bit more fun. But for this video in particular, I just wanted to emphasize how this is an illusion. And so part of what I'm trying to do and show people is that we can break out of this. We can break out of it. Now, it won't be just turning off our phones, because we have created so much infrastructure, real legitimate economic and political and social infrastructure in Web 2.0. So that's why I work with tech startup founders, because they're way ahead of everyone and they're already building things for 3.0, which in a previous video I mentioned is built on blockchain and is a decentralized part of the internet, and in my opinion, the more real and organic part, right? We have all this space. We have a great communication platform, but the reason why you hate the internet most likely is because you as a human being are stuck in an interface that was poorly thought out, and it's kind of like an overgrown tumor of an original idea of like a 19-year-old kid who wanted to look at boobs. Or just girls. He wanted to look at girls. The men wanted to look at girls, y'all. So this is what we did. We did this low-hanging fruit kind of design, and we haven't really looked back. And the thing is, it was building so much traction that, it made money. So no one was really asking like, oh, is this like good for society? Like, is this gonna like make people have horrible mental health? Like, none of that was being asked. We were just like, oh my God, the internet is so innovative. Look at us, like we're genius kids and we figured it out and blah, 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 blah. Now we're starting to figure that out, because now we're not 16 years old anymore. Now we're in our 30s, and we didn't want to be here in our 30s. This was activity and behavior designed for teenagers. This is why your grown-ass, emotionally unavailable situationship is annoying you, because they're using interfaces that were literally designed for teenagers. That's why he's being weird, okay? So the point is, the design will influence the behavior. The environment, this is an environment. So it's like, even if you wanted to behave like something out here or something in here, your environment keeps you locked in here. It's just like a little like mouse in one of those tests where it's like, oh, let's see what the mice do, right? So you're like running around, pose. Gary Vee said pose. And we're here and we're trapped. Trap. So wanted to emphasize this illustration. I'll have more soon.